Peace, everyone. This is Angela Jordan Perry with Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling. And it's that time. It's that time for another interview. So let me go ahead and get our guests on here. I hope you all are having a great day today. If you are not familiar with Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling, welcome. Welcome. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it in just a little bit as we go ahead and get started in just a bit. She should be joining us shortly. So as always, when you come in, make sure you let us know where you're viewing us from. And then also go ahead and be sure to drop a 1 below in the comment section, time viewing us, and drop a 2 below if this is what you do and you see us all the time. Girlfriends got. Are we good?
I think we are.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and share it. You're looking beautiful.
Well, thank you, as are you.
Thank you, my sweet dear. All right, I'll let you know when I share it. It'll be just a quick second. So all you girlfriends, yes, come on in. Let us know where you're viewing us from and where you're homeschooling at, where your people make their homeschool stead at. All right, give me one quick second. I think I have it done. All right, I'm shared onto Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling page, and now you can share it to all your locations. So it has been just, I don't know, months since I've been trying to get this beautiful queen on this show, and we have finally. Yes, it's been a challenge, but hey, I'm of that mindset that hey, you try again, and you just keep making it happen. So
Exactly.
yeah, all things will work together for good. So at the right time, it will happen. All right, let me know when you are all done. No rush, just give me a heads up. And let me make sure I have.
I think we're good to go. I wanted to share.
Okay. All right, very good. Well, let's get going. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling. I am turned up for today's interview. Yes, here we are. We are making it happen today. I have this beautiful queen, Miller Munford, with me today. And wow, this has been such a journey. As I mentioned before, we have tried, it's been a couple of months. And so finally, we are here together on Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling. And so I welcome you. So if you're seeing these two melanated women in your news feed and you're wondering, what is this and who are they? Let me let you know. I tell you all about it. So this is Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling with Angela Jordan Perry. I'm the host, Angela Jordan Perry. And this platform is to reach out, encouragement, give insights, wisdom, nuggets, support to the African diasporic homeschooling community, okay? And so it's hashtag we homeschool too. Our kids are thriving. We are doing well. We are making it happen. We are single moms who are homeschooling. We are dual working parents homeschooling, careers, many children, one children, first year, many years, the plethora of homeschooling. You're going to find someone in this community that you can connect with and identify with. So my platform is unashamedly to encourage more Black and brown families to get their kids out of school and homeschool them. I never would bash public school. I'm the product of public school, but I do think that now is the time that we can be our best advocate for our own children. And that's hands down. That's just what it is, okay? All right, so let me tell you a little bit about me. I'm a homeschooling mom of 18 years to 8 children, 3 of which we have graduated on. One is on our own, became an entrepreneur. My second son went off to the military, and now he's back. And my third one, she went off to college, and she's studying violin performance. So I'm still homeschooling 5 children. I have a good long ways to go. I generally finish at 16, so I have about 9 more years to go, you all, then I can retire. Okay. And so in addition to that, my purpose-driven life is to make a positive impact on thousands of homeschoolers worldwide. website. I do that in part right here on Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling with Angela Jordan Perry, on my podcast where I join these beautiful queens and we dig in deeper on a specific subject, on Girlfriends Chat with Angela Jordan Perry, and then also with Educating Our Own. That is a platform that's going to give you all the tools, the resources, the mindset, everything you need to know from A to Z to homeschool. And you can learn more about that at www.eduourown.com. Go over there, sign up, become a free member. Go ahead and do that, because the elders, village elders, are all preparing and getting their content and videos ready to go up on that website. So you all get ready for that. But also in the state of South Carolina, I'm an Option 3 Accountability Association Director. And what that means is that I give families all over the state of South Carolina legal rights to homeschool in this state and ensure that they follow the laws and that their kids are getting prepared to go off to college if that's the plan. So I do that as well in South Carolina. We are small, self-sustaining farmers here in South Carolina, in the upstate part of the state, where we farm. we have some goats and chickens and the steer and what else, hogs back there, and some dogs and all that kind of stuff, and garden. So that's what we do here. I'm married for 26 years to my sweetheart from when I was 16 years old, believe it or not. So that's just a little bit about us, but today's focus is our guest. So
Thank
Lee,
you. Yes, thank you so much,
are you?
Angela.
Yes, my pleasure and my delight. So Lee, are you ready to make this happen?
I am. I am just in love with this platform. This was definitely missing for me when I started. So I'm ready to share and spread the word and to be the resource that many of us don't have. Definitely.
Beautiful. Absolutely. We're making it happen for our own. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about Lee. Now, I'm going to read her whole bio because it's worthy to be read. Yes, every single word. So you all hang on and pay attention. Make sure you hit the share button as I'm reading it so that all the other girlfriends that you have who are either homeschooling or not homeschooling can join in on this conversation, okay? So Lee Miller Munford, MA, is a wife of 12 years and mother of 2 spirited little girls, Eden, who's 10, and Evan, or Even, how do you say it?
Evan. She's Evan.
Evan,
Yes.
who's 4. Lee holds a master's degree in journalism and cultural studies from the University of Missouri, a bachelor's degree in English, and a bachelor's degree in fashion merchandising with a marketing minor, both from Virginia Commonwealth University. I almost went to that college.
Really?
Yes, I had a softball scholarship. So to go there, yeah.
I'm a mother.
So yep, Lee has taught English, critical reading, journalism, and fashion promotion courses at the collegiate level. However, after moving to the Washington, D.C. area, Lee was hired as a research director for a leading advertising agency and has since then gone on to develop marketing strategies and campaigns for domestic and global brands. Published and recognized for her ability to highlight underrepresented audiences, Lee was the recipient of an American Marketing Association M Award. She has also consulted with the NBA, producing high-profile marketing strategies and fundraising events for a sister organization. It was her enthusiasm about education and her daughter's eclectic interest that led Lee to homeschooling. For her and her daughter, the ability to intimately experience curriculum ranging from Smithsonian lectures to ballet-directed math instruction was attractive. Lee's heart was touched by the idea that her daughter could learn in an environment crafted specifically for her, and one that incorporated Eden's creative, entertainment, spiritual, and athletic interests such as acting, Bible-based curriculum and activities, piano and lacrosse. Lee is humbled by the blessings of God in all seasons and is thankful for the gifts of relationships and community that homeschooling provides. Mostly, Lee thanks God for the ability to witness, firsthand her daughter's intellectual process. She is excited to teach this coming year and hopes to assist families who are struggling to navigate the homeschooling waters. So,
And
girlfriends, I just told you a little bit. That's still a little bit about Lee. That's just a bit. But Lee, if there's anything else you'd like to share, please do. But tell us how you actually, got started in the schooling journey.
yes, thank you for reading that. I think you're gonna make me cry. My mom is watching, and I'm sure she's crying, so you're probably gonna make me cry. But thank you,
Uh,
thank you for sharing all of that. Homeschooling came to me. It was very happenstance. The first thing I learned about homeschooling, honestly, was a lesson that we've all learned at some point: never to say never, because homeschooling was something that I've always said never to. I am public school educated. My husband is public school educated. We live in the Washington, D.C. area where in our immediate area, the schools are not as stellar as we would like them to be, but there are robust educational opportunities. And my daughter was attending private school, and we were pleased with it, but there were still some things missing. One being diversity. Where we live, um, our neighborhood actually is 95% African American. Our church is African American. We go to the grocery store, the mall, with pretty much all African Americans. And when my daughter would get really shocked when she saw someone who was not African American, I realized that was an issue. So
mm,
to another school. Um, we moved her to another school, which was an extremely wonderful private school in the Northern Virginia area. But again, there were some things missing. For instance, my daughter was not challenged in terms of her vocabulary. It's always been very important for us to read to our children continuously. So her vocabulary was well above average, and I felt like what she was studying in school was holding her back a bit. And there was a point where a teacher emailed me to tell me that the books that my daughter was reading were too advanced for her grade. They weren't inappropriate, but they were a few grades beyond her grade level. And I saw no problem with that. I did not stop my daughter from reading those books. I said thank you for your information, and I appreciate it. But again, we're not going to thwart her intellectual process. Um, so it was situations like that that really made me stop and think. And because I thought about all the time that kids in traditional schools sit in school, they're there normally, traditionally, from 8 o'clock to 3 or 3:30. When I started homeschooling, I realized very early on that we could be done in 3 or 4 hours. And it planned lots of time for my daughter to pursue her interest. And that was one of the main things that attracted me. Eden is extremely interested in acting. She is very dramatic. So she's really interested in acting. Um, she's a swimmer. She plays lacrosse, and there are just so many other things that she do. She sings, so she wants to really improve her voice. And I think about all the time that she would sit in school, just reciting states and presidents, when she could be someplace working on those skills that she could use for a lifetime. And I said, you know what, we're going to explore, and we're going to do this, because what's important to me is the whole person. Education
mhm.
is primary, but it's about the whole person. And I know my daughter's um, learning ability. I know that she is a hard worker, and I know that she can learn in any environment. And I just decided that that was best for her, and we fell in love immediately.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, one of the things that I know, well, maybe correct me, but I think I remember that you are a professional as well as your homeschooling, correct?
Yes, yes. And I have been blessed to consult. I am a marketing consultant. And for the past few years, as a consultant, I have been able to work from home or to work remotely, travel into the city every once in a while, or if I have clients in New York, hop on the train and go every once in a while. And those were a lot of experiences that my daughter experienced as well. She would often come with me. Or if I'm working at home in my office, my daughter would often get a book and make a little palette right behind me and do her work. So the scenario remained the same for us. I could teach and work simultaneously. So again, thank God we did have that environment already created. So that worked well for us. And I'm also the kind of parent, aside from my daughter's school, I would create outside assignments for her. So to me, when we decided to homeschool, it was just an extension.
Mm. So homeschooling was an extension. Okay, so when you actually got started, how long have you been homeschooling? Let's ask that. Oops.
We are starting our second year, so just 1 year. This is the beginning of our second year. So I'm a rookie, most definitely a rookie compared to you.
Oh, no worries. No, everyone has a story and everyone has a journey that someone can identify. So that's why I encourage families, even if you're like a month in, you got something to share to encourage
We
someone else. So yeah,
do.
do not forsake your small or short beginnings. They are invaluable. Okay. So how was it when you
Agree.
first got started with this professional career and also homeschooling and you have a little one? What was that
Yes,
dynamic like when you started homeschooling? Yeah.
let's just say I'm surprised I still have hair. Um, it
Okay.
it was tumultuous. It really was. But when I look back at it, I am really thankful um, for that process, because I would not have been able to create the kind of year and just the kind of educational accomplishments that my daughter had. But where my professional life became a challenge, or where it intersected with homeschooling, is I have spent many years as a researcher. That's who I am. I'm just very curious. I know where to find resources. You know, have the inclination to just, know exactly where to go, what to read, how to analyze, how to apply it. And I did the same thing with homeschooling, which means I did not know when to stop looking at. I didn't know when to stop looking at curriculum. I didn't know when to stop trying to find apps that would help me organize her work, or try to find different homeschool resources at museums and homeschool field trips and things of that nature. So I pretty much put that on myself. So I shouldn't say
Gotcha.
it's a challenge. That was just me um, being me, just doing a little bit too much, as my daughter would say. And then also, she was very specific about what she wanted to learn. We are careful to make sure we include her in those types of decisions, because I've learned if we don't, she could be the kid who is sitting there just completely uninterested. So
Mm.
we didn't want that. So I asked her what was important for her in this homeschool lifestyle, because that's exactly what it is. It's homeschooling is a lifestyle. And she said, Mommy, I want to learn about jazz history. I want to speak Mandarin, and I want to be able to choose my science classes. And so I considered that on top of my own goals for her, which one was to be able to just really, really improve her writing, focus a lot on that. Of course, with my background, writing is important. So that's something I drill hard at home all the time. But then there are state requirements, as you know. And in the state of Maryland, you have to focus at least some on math, English, history, um, science, art, and health. So we had to incorporate all of those into, again, her goals and my goals, and my work, and the household overall. And I'm still recuperating from all of that from last year.
Wow.
From Yes. What I did,
So
and
go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, no. You go ahead. Complete your sentence. Yes.
What I would say to new homeschoolers is to, number one, relax a little, but also do not overwhelm yourself and your child. And I think that, not I think, I know I did that the first year because I wanted to incorporate all of those things. You know, I felt that we would have the time for her to receive instruction, and she's a very tactical learner. She's extremely kinesthetic, so we have to touch and feel and experience when we're teaching. And I just thought that we would have time to really do that the way in which I envisioned. But she was a little overwhelmed at first. So
Mm.
that's definitely a challenge that we encountered. And I would um, say to new homeschoolers again, just to be careful of that and understand it's not necessary to learn everything first year or the second year.
Very good, good, good. So, with that said, since this first year was, you said the beginning was tumultuous, is
It
the word
was.
you used. Okay, so tell us in this first year, explain to us or take us to the moment where you almost quit. It came to your mind, maybe you thought about it or whatever, but you didn't quit. And this is why you're this, dropping wisdom of nuggets as a newbie right now. But take us to that moment when you almost wanted to quit.
Oh, oh my goodness. I can think of the moment specifically. It was probably in maybe I guess the third quarter of the homeschooling year. My daughter and I were in the kitchen. I was giving her a science test, and I was working on a proposal that had a 3 o'clock deadline, and she's trying to take that test. And what I would do with science, my daughter always tried to talk me into letting her use her books, but no, that's not happening with me. So I would give her 10 minutes before the test to go over her book and her science journal and things of that nature, and then she would have to move on to the test. And the questions she's allowed to ask me during a science test or any other kind of test, it's not as specific. You can't ask me how to do something. You can ask me to clarify a question, or you can't ask me about vocabulary words or things of that nature, because those are things you should know if we're at the point where you're taking a test. So I'm trying to work on this paragraph, this proposal, and she is in the midst of taking a test, and I believe it was just a difficult um, science chapter for her. So when she's taking this test, she starts fidgeting, she starts grunting, and then she starts with the barrage of questions. And mind you, I had a 3 o'clock deadline, and it was about 1:30, and it all of a sudden I just said, you know what, you're going back to school. Because it hit me, it hit me like a ton of bricks. There was the deadline, and it wasn't the first time she had that kind of experience. And I think a part of it is kids, especially kids her age, they are so used to um, being their hands being held while taking
Mm.
and things of that nature. And so then she's not in the mindset that I need her to be at the level that she is now. We cannot do that. You just can't do that. So then she's getting even more frustrated, which of course is really interrupting her thinking in terms of the test. It's delaying what I'm doing, and my cell phone is ringing because I have people on the other end waiting for me to send things over for them, and I'm trying to edit. It was just a complete conundrum at that moment. Um, we quickly got over it, though. I submitted my proposal. My daughter finished her test, and we had to come to Jesus. We talked about uh, with time, and we talked to her about what I could do better in terms of just her teacher and helping her better understand and prepare for these tests. But then I also realized it's about time management for me. Um, but we have to consider, again, I overwhelmed the entire family last year. I did. I did. But we didn't stop. We did not stop. She did phenomenally on that test and every other test, thank God. And we continue to just to march on in the same manner, and we have not looked back. And in fact, we were only going to homeschool for 1 year. That was the goal. It was a very specific goal, a very specific reason why we chose to do it this year. So we were also looking at other schools for her. We were visiting schools. There were days where she would have a full day visit with schools. So of course she would miss her homeschooling lessons during the time. And when she was waitlisted at her primary choice, her first choice school, she said, "You know what, Mommy, that's okay because I like being homeschooled. We can homeschool again." And that, of course, helped me to just release and breathe, and knowing that we would not have to settle again with her education, and also understanding that she really adopted this lifestyle and that she's now comfortable with it. She's happy in it. She truly loves it. She does. She does.
Wow.
Yes.
So this here is, tell us your most memorable time of homeschooling. Maybe it even brings you to tears. It stirs your heart, and you're like, this right here.
Uh,
This is
my
why I homeschool. This is why we do what we do.
Yes, it's so many of them, so many of them. Um, the first one I would say again, we are blessed to live in the Washington D.C. area, which culturally it's robust. There are so many opportunities to learn, so many different ways to learn. So I keep up with all of the different museums and the events at museums, especially because my daughter she said that she's interested in jazz. So of course we make sure we follow the Smithsonian because they have a well-known jazz series. I received an email one day from the Museum of American History, and they were doing a music series for an entire month, and each talk would include a hour-long talk that was led by a celebrity artist, and she loves John Legend. Her first
Mm.
concert was um, a John Legend, a Marvin Gaye tribute with John Legend singing all Marvin Gaye songs. It was amazing. She was 3. She absolutely loved it. So when I found
she
out
said she was 3.
she was 3, she was 3. And she couldn't even say his name. She called him Lon Legend. Lon Legend. But she loves John Legend. And when I realized that he was going to be giving a talk, I said, yes, we're there. I registered and I invited my grandma, my mother-in-law, Eden's grandmother, to come along with us. And again, that's the blessing of homeschool. It was in the middle of the day, and we're going to a talk with John Legend, and that was our school for the day. That was our location of school for the day, and it was an amazing conversation. He discussed his music by taking it through bits and pieces of history, so it was able to he was able to connect his music with a lot of different components of history that many people may not think about. But again, when something else is approachable, like John Legend and his music, it's easier to understand something else, something of significance, like the Vietnam War, for instance. And she was just
Mm.
completely mesmerized. And she was the only child there. It was about 100 people in
Mm.
attendance. We were on the second row, and before he took the stage, he sat directly in front of her. And I just remember her,
Oh.
she just kept kicking her feet together. She couldn't contain herself. She's just lifting herself off of her seat,
Oh.
hopping up and down. She could not contain herself. She was so excited. And then, though, through the conversation, we learned that John Legend was homeschooled.
Wow.
Yeah, he talked about that. He went to high school at age 12. And he just talked about that experience, and was very candid about him not being socially ready for that, as one could imagine. But just like we feel with Eden, he credits that lifestyle to him being able to really, really hone his music and focus on his efforts there, just the homeschooling process. Um, but during that, he also talked about, again, going to school at an early age. And it was a moment, a serious moment for us, because I didn't mention this before, but last year, technically, Eden was going to the fourth grade. If she would have gone to traditional school, she would have been in the fourth grade. However, we had her tested, and we allowed her to work on some curriculum that was a few years beyond her. And she tested out of the fourth grade before even starting the fourth grade. So she was in classes with a lot of older students. So she is pretty much on a very similar path. She's 10,
Yeah.
and she's going to be technically in the sixth grade this coming year. Um, so with that new learning, my mother-in-law stood up because everyone was asking questions at that point, and he addressed every single question. My mother-in-law stood up and introduced herself and introduced Eden, and noted that she is a homeschool student, and asked him if he would have any advice for Eden. Now I'm going to cry. But he talked to her directly. He had a conversation with her sitting right there. He was on
Wow.
the stage, she was sitting in the audience, and he gave her just a wealth of information regarding being a homeschool student and worrying about acceptance, being around the older kids, and just understanding in that environment how to stand strong and stay focused on who you are, but also encouraged her to, again, focus on the whole person. It's not just about school, quite frankly. And he was just so very encouraging. But he spoke directly to Eden and saying her name and just having a conversation with her. And he was very, very careful to take his time. You could tell he was passionate about it. He was honest. He was sincere. Sorry, now mommy's getting all emotional.
Wow.
She was so excited, and that was just a beautiful moment for us. Definitely.
Wow. That's beautiful.
Sorry about that, but
Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, you're fine, Mama. You're fine. Oh, all you girlfriends who are just tuning in now, we're about to transition to the second part of our show. And today I have Lee Miller Munford with me today on this show. She is a homeschooling mom. She has two girls. One she's homeschooling now. And you have caught her in tears just sharing her most memorable. She's going to make me cry.
I'm sorry. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
she is sharing her most memorable moment she's had in this first year of homeschooling. And had her child been, her beautiful daughter Eden, had been in public school, she would have missed this opportunity to have seen her icon, her, hero who she looks up to, being John Legend, and having
Yeah.
that one-on-one opportunity with him. So you girlfriends, be sure to go ahead and hit the share button to get this out to those who will view live and those who will come on to replay. You just never know who may be considering homeschooling or are in already homeschooling and need to
Yes.
have this encouragement,
Exactly.
these words of nuggets. Someone who's been there, done that, and doing it can tell you, hey, this is what I did. I can share a better way to do it. And so this is what this is all about. This is, of course, for the African homeschooling diaspora. And so again, it's all to encourage you to continue on, and to encourage you to consider to homeschool and educate your own children. So Lee, we're going to go ahead and transition. These next
Sure.
questions are questions to pick your brain. You can give us a quick answer on them, but yeah, let's dive in. Okay.
All right. Let's go. Let's go.
All right. So, what is your favorite quote or mantra that helps you through this homeschooling journey?
Oh, scripture always. And one of my favorites, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Um, there's not much more to say about that, but that's truly the foundation for not just this homeschooling journey, but life. And I have instilled that in my daughter. We start every morning with her reading scripture, and then um, working on her handwriting and Bible memorization by, of course, rewriting the scripture. And then she has to write a real life example, or she has to somehow relate to that scripture in journal writing. So yes, I would most definitely say that. I wish I had it written on postcards in every room in this house, but definitely.
Absolutely. Beautiful. So I know that you mentioned before that, at first your thought was to homeschool 1 year and
Yes.
Eden really encouraged you to move on. So do you plan to homeschool all the way to the end, whatever that end is?
I really don't know. Um, I would love to if the opportunity presents. Of course, I have to consider just my work, where Eden is in her own learning journey. She's very social, and thankfully, we do have outlets for that that allows her to be around other children at least every other day. But it just depends. As long as she's getting what she needs, if we find a more traditional, I guess, school environment that provides that for her, it's something we would consider. She has said that she wants to go to high school and really go to school in high school. So
Okay.
we'll see. We'll see.
Gotcha.
We'll see.
Gotcha. What is something that's unique to the Munfords homeschool that, that's you all have created? This is a special thing that you all do that makes you all, your school homeschool what it is.
Um, what is that? Well, one thing, I'm that crazy mom who drives like an hour and a half to take my daughter to a few classes because I want her to have the classes. And they are taught an hour and a half away. So one day a week, I do that. And I parents give me a strange look when I say it, but that's who I am. That's part of our homeschooling journey. That's important to us. So I just made it work so that we had the ability to do that. Um, One thing we also do is focus a lot on cultural inclination for the girls, which includes lots of assignments having to do with history and other museums. We never go to a museum without her having to write something after that. Um, and sometimes we do scavenger hunts at museums. So one thing I think that does make us different is that we really try to focus on those exercises that are more intimate in nature, and ones that I feel like are going to reflect on who she is as a person now and years later. We're also blessed to have medical professionals in our life, and so Eden's grandmother, who is a medical professional, will give her health assignments. And for one of those assignments, Eden wrote a report, but she also uh, recorded. She gathered her two sisters. She has two sisters. I actually have a 16-year-old stepdaughter. So she gathered
Okay.
her two sisters, so because she understood um, that health can vary with age. So you have a 4-year-old, the 10-year-old, and the 16-year-old, and they made a exercise video. So
Neato.
yes, yes. So I think
Wow.
thinking out of the box is definitely something we try to do and will continue to do.
That is neat, neato. So I know that you said that you are very much a researcher and
Yes.
you check everything out and you all of that before you actually get started. So what do you have in your library, a book or CD or a curriculum or in your knowledge resource toolbox that you feel that every African homeschooling family should have in their library?
Hmm. What is that? What is that? It's a bunch of things, quite frankly. Um,
Okay.
but I would say mostly um, museum memberships, to be honest. But I also make sure I subscribe to science. For instance, there are some science lessons that I get for her in different languages. Primarily, again, she's really, really interested in science, but she's also interested in in language. And I think that oftentimes we just don't think outside of who we are, you know, what we speak, what we like to learn. And I want, if she wants to be a scientist, which is something she thinks about, I want her to be able to go to China and work with other scientists. So that's something that we definitely do. We just really try to focus on um, different ways to learn and try to understand how different people learn so that you're not in a box. She's taking Mandarin this year. So, you know, I would just say that it's, again, just having memberships, subscribing to everything that you can that may be cultural um, in nature. And then also there is a homeschool group um, in our area that focuses specifically on our African roots. It teaches the children how to be natural in various ways with their eating and self-care and things of that nature. They focus on our history, things that, of course, are often not taught in schools. And I just really appreciate that. And one of the things that they also do is they feature non-traditional roles. In this particular homeschool group, a lot of the fathers do the teaching, which is not something that you see. So as my daughter, I like that she gets to see that and experience that. They also teach them different types of African dance and African drumming. So they, you know, she's learning other instruments. So I would definitely say try and find a like group if you can in your area, or create one, or create
Yeah.
one. Definitely, because it's needed. It's needed, and the other homeschool moms would thank you, without a doubt if you did that.
Beautiful, beautiful. What is the best piece of advice that you've received, Lee, so far on this homeschooling journey?
It was to enjoy it. It was to enjoy it, and that piece of advice came from a mom who homeschooled 7 children. So she's very much like you. She still has 2 at home, and where they are in life, it's very very different, but all just very intimate to them and who they are. And so she talks a lot about just enjoying the process. And for me, um, it took me a minute to understand that, but when you're sitting in front of your child and you're teaching them, and you can see the way they think, you can see the moment they grasp a concept, you start to understand, you know, okay, this is not working for her, so let me present it to her that way. Or, you know, it's just so many intimate details you start learning about your child when you are working with them in that manner. And that to me has just been the most awesome thing about homeschooling. And that's really what she was talking about when she said, take your time. It's important to, of course, it's important for them to learn, but part of that learning is you understanding also who they are so that you can continue to teach them in the way that they need to be taught. So
Yes,
I'm blessed.
absolutely.
That was definitely a blessed insight there, truthfully.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. So, what is your favorite app or maybe online resource, or something that's, again, in your curriculum toolbox that you feel that we all should have in our resource tools?
Mhm. My mind was blown when I found out that the Smithsonian actually has free um, lesson plans and free lectures, free videos. Some even come with free tools and free writing. They provide different teaching and writing techniques for the teacher. So that, I think, any homeschool parent should truly explore those resources. And it's in
Okay.
various subjects: science, math, different types of music. So there's history, there's culture, there's social studies, there's weather related information, different ways in which you can teach your children about world events, or emergency and non-emergency situations, I definitely would say that that resource has been paramount for me. And Google
Wow.
Teach, I love Google Teach. Love Google Teach. It's subscription based, but it helps you to um, keep a timeline of assignments, because that's one of the things I struggle with early on, is just keeping track of all the assignments. You focus on what's due, but you also have to understand, where are we coming from? What has the student done? Especially for those in states who live in states where you have to go for a portfolio review a few times a year. So Google Teach, try that, definitely, definitely.
Okay, beautiful. Those are great resources. And the Smithsonian one, is that on the website or is that like on YouTube or online? How is that?
It is on the website. It's online, so you can
Okay.
go to Smithsonian.edu and start there.
Okay.
But I guarantee you, you will just be amazed at the wealth of information there. And then also, a lot of the local organizations, like the National Building Museum here, and I'm pretty sure it's the same in other areas, they offer homeschool days or homeschool weeks or just some homeschool classes. And it's all very tactical. The children get to really experience those things. My daughter was, an architect for a day um, at one museum. She was an engineer for a day at,
Oh.
at another. The botanical gardens. Like different like law enforcement agencies, they all offer usually some sort of homeschool specific program. The zoos do the same thing also.
Gotcha. Beautiful. Great insights. Thanks. That's a lot of great nuggets to get. So
Welcome.
all right, well, Lee, we're on our last question, the
All
$1,000,000 question.
right.
Are you ready?
I'm ready, Angela.
Okay. So Lee, if you had to start all over again, back to day one of your homeschooling journey, but you have your current wisdom, current knowledge, skills, insights, conviction, what would be the first thing you'd be sure to change in this homeschooling journey? And what would be the first thing you'd be sure to implement this time around?
The first thing I would be sure to change again, and I mentioned this before, is to not overwhelm my child. And when I say overwhelm, I don't think I was really clear on that. I had my daughter doing two different types of English and grammar curriculum, two, and we were really serious about them. She was following two different types of geography curriculum, so very unnecessary, very time consuming and stressful on her part. So I would definitely say do not do that. Don't overwhelm your child, and again, and space it out, or really try to just be more target oriented. Have a laser eye focus on those, that the curriculum that you're choosing and the classes that you're choosing for your child, because also understand that if they're overwhelmed, they're going to miss something someplace else. I would say that over and over again, definitely.
Okay. Anything you would be sure to implement or add in this time around that you kind of figured out later on in the year?
I would not, and this is what we're doing this year. We are not going to focus so much on the books as we are on experiences. We're going to
Mm.
focus more on experiences for her. So that means more science experiments. That means more visits, more travel. That means we're going to sit in the park and observe. And I will have lines of questions for her based on her own observations. And one thing that's another component of homeschooling that I love is that your child is truly learning how to think critically. And again, that's something else you can see growing and developing in them. And we have a process again every day where I ask her a thinking concept, and she can choose whether to write about it or we discuss it. It could be something as simple as tell me about your favorite season of the year and why. and we have to discuss it. I need you to be able to present points and, stand your ground. Show me, explain to me why, or write that and prove to me why you feel this is important. So just more of those experiences. I want to also involve her more with other homeschool groups who, again, are like-minded, and that's not something that I did. The focus was on getting started, so we didn't get involved in a lot of different communities. But I want to take advantage of some of those resources, and she's happy about that
Beautiful.
because she feels like it means less books, less reading, and I agree. And I've learned from experience that that's how she learns best. So that's what we're going to do.
But good for you. Kudos to you, Lee. I am so
Thank
glad.
you. Thank
I'm glad to
you.
hear your development and your evolvement in just 1 year. And just guess what? As you keep going, you're going to keep evolving. 18 years of homeschooling for me, and I'm even evolving all the more because life changed,
Yes, it does.
children
Yeah.
change, you change, circumstances change, your
Yes.
convictions change.
Yeah.
All so it's constantly a beautiful evolving, and just to learn to hold it loosely and just allow our kids to truly guide us, and we work together. And I
Right.
have, I've had eight working together.
Which is
It do
amazing.
become a,
Amazing.
you know, yeah, it becomes a beautiful experience for them at the end. And that's what it's all about for them at the end. So,
Exactly. It is. It's for them. It's for them. And I again, I'm blessed that I was able to have this experience. And so is she. She's so happy now to announce that she's a homeschool student. She usually says that unsolicited now. So, it truly is a blessing. And I encourage anyone who has an opportunity to do it, or to even, just consider it. I was that never person. I will never ever homeschool. I just do not want to do it. Don't talk to me about it. It's totally out of the question. But again, I have a passion, and I also figured out that it's something that I'm kind of good at. I didn't even think about it that way, but when my daughter had her first review, the reviewers were really impressed with the curriculum that we chose, and the types of assignments that we were giving her. Um, and me being, a consultant, I said, well, hey, maybe this is something that I can add to my line of services. And I truly
sure.
enjoy it. And I know it's people who really need that help when you're getting started. Definitely.
Sure, beautiful, beautiful. Well, tell us, what do you have your hands involved in that you want us to know about, so that we, as your village, your small sister circle that's distant and wide, can come and join and rally around you, Lee?
Thank you for asking. I am slowly getting back to the grind in my own professional life, but right now I am helping to produce a women's conference next month, and it is a spiritual based conference. Some of the topics include health and wellness, finance, different types of violence and domestic issues, and I really, really, really think that this could just be an empowering experience for all women, especially those homeschool moms who don't get many opportunities to focus on themselves these days. So again, I welcome everyone to go to Women on the Move Worldwide, the Facebook page, or www.wogomworldwide.org to read more about the conference, and join us next month in Annapolis, Maryland.
Okay, very good. All right. We'll be sure if at the end you can come back in and type that information in the notes, in the
Sure,
comment section,
sure.
so that we can get to it and have that right there for us. So, so beautiful. Great girlfriends. Let me tell you, you are the average of the 5 people you hang around with. And this past hour, you've been hanging with Lee Miller Munford out of Washington, D.C., Maryland area, this newbie homeschooling
Yes,
mom
yes.
of 2 children. One, she's homeschooling, and she's found that she is quite good at it. So listen, thank you all for joining. Lee, I appreciate you. I appreciate your perseverance. And
Thank you for having
thank
me, Angela. And again, thank you for this platform. Thank you so, so very much. And I'm sure I speak for all homeschool moms of color. Thank you. Great work.
Yes, my delight. I'm so thrilled. It's doing exactly what it is supposed to be doing. And as I get contacts daily about homeschooling and questions about homeschooling, how can I get started? I'm lost every day. And so
Yeah.
I am glad that this is doing what it's supposed to do. So Lee, Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling appreciates you and thank you for giving up your time and your energy, your wisdom, your experience to give back into our African homeschooling diasporic community. So thank you. Thank you so much, Lee. I appreciate
Thank you. It's a blessing to be a blessing. Thank you again, Angela.
Absolutely. All right, well, girlfriends, as always, remember that to teach your child is to touch a life. And as we homeschool, we not only touch a life, but we shape the future
Amen.
through our efforts of homeschooling.
Amen.
So keep making that positive impact day after day and year after year. And just like Lee said, enjoy the process. Enjoy it. Stay focused, laser-like focused, and just enjoy the moments of it, okay? Do not, what was her encouragement? Do not overwhelm your kids.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it. It goes so fast, and before you know it, you're done, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so until our next interview, I will see you soon. Find me on Girlfriend's Guide to Homeschooling, the Facebook page, the YouTube channel, and also we'll be with Lee. Again, we're going to dive in deeper on a specific subject on the podcast. So if you're not connected to Girlfriends Chat on all podcast platforms, you need to find it and get connected, because these are small nuggets where we dive in for about 10 or 15 minutes. It's actually a phone call.
Great.
And so be looking out for that, okay? And then please go over to edourown.com. edourown.com. That's a website, and go ahead and join, become a free member, where you're going to get connected to all the resources from the Village Elders. It's coming. We're preparing, and it's going to be a blessing as we continue to give back into you, okay? All right, so take care. This is Angela Jordan Perry, my delight. You all take care. Have a blessed and safe weekend. Peace, everyone.